Today's video is about Bostonian shoes. Yes, Bostonians. It's a brand that has kind of fallen in quality, but might be making a comeback based on some big news that just came out in October of 2018. And also, I'm going to talk about thrifting them and what to look for. Hello, everybody. It's Robert Powers.
4.5 out of 5.
My shoe collection. Some stains there. Let's get a nice lather. Here is the finished product.
I'm not a professional.
How tight this is, though.
Old pair of Allen Edmonds torn apart.
Look at that gloss. And here they are finished up. Hey everybody, so the topic of discussion today obviously is Bostonian shoes. Now, first of all, if you've seen my other videos, I'm a raving Allen Edmonds fan. Right now I have, I don't know, I think about 19 or 20 pairs of shoes. I think 7 or 8 pairs of Allen Edmonds. I don't know, 4 or 5 pairs of Johnston & Murphy's. I do have a few pair of Bostonians. I'd say 2000s through, the 2000s through 2018, they're not known for their quality. So first of all, let's go back a little bit. Who is Bostonian shoes? Bostonian shoes was its own brand, and until I believe 1977 or 78, when it was acquired by Clark's. Okay, so they were acquired by Clark's shoes, and so was Hanover. So what happened in 1978 was Hanover shoes and Bostonian shoes were actually made in the same plant. Okay, a plant, and they were owned by Clark's. Okay. Now, before that, what you're going to see, though, is most of the American shoe companies before approximately the 90s, before the early 90s, pretty much any of the American shoe companies made really high quality shoes. And what they made was stuff that was, basically made with, full grain leather, Goodyear welded construction. So let me show you one example of that here. Okay. So here's one example of what I'm talking about. And I don't know for sure. I really tried to find information. I've got an Allen Edmonds video on how to date Allen Edmonds shoes, where from the logos, I can tell you basically what decade, within a few years the shoes were made. I really have no idea with these, but here's what I can tell you. What I can tell you is this shoe is a high quality construction with good materials. Again, not on the Allen Edmonds level necessarily, but let's look. First of all, my first clue is it says made in USA. I bought these shoes, I don't know, year and a half ago, something like that. And what I noticed was, first of all, I live in, Midwest US. We have really wet winters, from about October through March. It's wet most of the time. So it didn't come with this protective rubber half sole. But you see the stitching, and look at how dense that stitching is. That's the kind of stitching you see on shoes made in the, 80s and earlier. And if you look on the top, you can see it is truly Goodyear welted. So this is a Goodyear welted shoe. That's not a fake stitch, okay? So the leather quality, I don't know if it's full grain or corrected grain. I really don't know. If you don't know what that means, I'll link another video below. But this is what I do know. So the Bostonian shoes were made in the US, I believe, this is a guesstimate, until about the early 90s, I think. Okay, from there what you see is outsourcing, and you're going to see the, oh by the way, let me go back. I've worn them a bit. You see the wear on the heels there? Can you see the shadow? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What this is a real stacked leather construction heel. So this top lift can be removed and replaced. So this is not like some of the modern shoes with one piece injection molded rubber sole. When it wears out, you pitch it. Okay, the stitches can be cut, the leather sole can be replaced, and so can the top lift when it wears out. So what I'm saying is, I thrifted them for $12. It's an awesome shoe. I didn't even shine them before I put them on TV, right? This is a great casual shoe, Cordovan color. Here's what you're going to see about the Bostonians, though. They made a gazillion of them. They're all over the thrift stores, right? So this is a pair of Bostonian Classics. I don't know for sure when the Bostonian Classics logo came out. 90s to early 2000s. I can tell you for sure by the early 2000s that logo was in use. And because this model of shoe here, I purchased this exact pair of shoe around 2005-06. I've had 3 or 4 pairs of this exact model shoe. This wingtip, right, tassel loafer. This was my go-to dress shoe before I really started to develop a decent shoe collection. And the reason I've had like 3 different pairs of them is by the time the 2000s came around, so they're referring to classics, if you can see, I don't know if you can really tell. If I were to peel this back, the thickness of this leather, there's no welt. So in other words, what they do is they take a piece of leather and they glue it on. Like this part here that looks like a welt is not really a welt, so the leather sole is not quite that thick. It is bonded. It's a leather sole, but it's a bonded construction, and it is corrected grain leather. Now, if you look in a couple spots, like right there, it's starting to crack. And this is with religious use of shoe trees, polishing and over shoes to keep them out of the wet weather. I've had one of the pairs where the stitching started to come apart. So it's not a very high level of quality construction. Leather upper, balance man-made. This is corrected grain leather. Do you see how there's like no texture on the surface? This is clearly corrected grain leather. But here's another clue. Made in India. So from my experience, here's my experience. When you get the Bostonians made in the US, the older ones, you get some pretty decent quality shoes, right? But no, this is kind of like goes below the quality level that I like. Here's one that's interesting. Bostonian Classics. Nice wingtip. Now look at the condition of this shoe. Isn't that pretty nice? I wish I should have shot this video 2 days ago, okay? So you see the heel, stacked leather construction, but this one still has a stacked leather construction. Bostonian logo, you see it is Goodyear welted. If you don't know what that is, I'll put a link below. And by the way, if you notice, the welt goes around the heel. Most Johnston & Murphy shoes are not 360-degree Goodyear welted, okay? Leather upper, leather sole, right? And I am trying to find, and now that I think about it, I don't see anything on this shoe that says where it's made. That leads me to believe this shoe is probably made, I don't know, could be the late 80s or probably sometime in the 90s, right? This has only been worn outside one time. And I know that because if I would have shot this video 2 days ago, there would have been zero wear on the sole. So what's my point? This pair of shoes. I picked up this pair of shoes at the thrift store for 15 bucks. Okay, it's kind of wearing off there. 1601 with change. So is this an Allen Edmonds shoe? No. Is it corrected grain leather? Probably, right? But it is a nice wingtip design. It can be resold. Hey, you know what? This pair of shoes is going to one of the guys at the office that's, 20-something millennial, and is, making his way in the business world and needs a decent pair of shoes. And right now he can show up at somebody's office who's a 55-year-old man, and these have not even been shined yet, okay? And you know what? They're going to last forever? No. Right? Are they going to crack? Yes. But do you see my point? My point is he's got a decent pair of shoes. They do make some decent stuff. Leather sole, right? So you're in the club, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Of the leather sole dress shoes that you can take care of, you can polish, you can put new top lift heels on, right? Now you're at least in the ball game, right? Because of course, a video like this, I'm going to expect people, oh, they're junk and crap, and I get that, okay? But not all of us have the means to get an Allen Edmonds shoe every time we go out. Some people are just on a budget, and this is what I'm trying to tell you guys. If you know what you're looking for, even for the cost of McDonald's, or well, maybe not McDonald's. I guess 15 bucks would be like Chipotle with sides and a beer. But if you're willing to eat peanut butter jelly sandwiches a couple days, anybody could go afford this, right? Even if you're broke, and you could look decent. So I guess that's my main point with this part. Okay, and let me show you a couple other examples of what Bostonians have made. And again, I purchased these in like probably 04-ish. You can see they're well worn, right? You see the label is about worn. Same thing. Right here it does says genuine leather. Ooh, okay. But it is a bonded construction. These leather soles are glued on, and I've got some miles out of these. If you saw the video about putting a burnishing / patina on my old pair of Bostonians, I stripped the finish off of these. And I put that, that burnished look on them. Of all the shoes I've done with a burnished look, I think these came out the best. It's pretty subtle, I guess I would say. And again, wear them, and I didn't polish them for the video. I beat these shoes up a bit, right? I've had topless. I put new topless on them a couple times, right? Because they are replaceable. But, just for a general shoe that you're going to, abuse and, want to look decent in, it's not a bad shoe. Like I said, these shoes right here are over 10 years old. They're still holding up. I mean, yeah, they have a, bonded sole. So when it comes apart or wears out, I'm probably going to throw them away. This pair of shoes. Oh, by the way, no, I did find where it says where they're made. It says Upper India, made in USA. Upper India, made in USA. So I don't know. I'm guessing this is an early 90s is what I'm guessing. So here's what it seems to me Bostonian did as far as the quality. 80s and before, up until 1990-ish, made in USA, good materials, good quality construction. The first thing they did to cheapen the shoe was they used the same construction techniques, and they tried to use cheaper materials, corrected grain leather and imported leather, which lowered the quality. Then what they did after that was, not only did they use imported materials and make them overseas, then they even cheapened the construction techniques. So, in my opinion, look for the Bostonian shoes. And these are made in the USA. So the Bostonians made in the USA that are Goodyear Welted are the best, thrift, vintage Bostonians to look for. And the next best would be just anything that still has a Goodyear welt. Like I said, especially a 360-degree Goodyear welt. Anyway, I hope that brought you some value. Keep your eyes open at the thrift stores. And I'm going to tell you the exciting news about Bostonian. Okay, so here's some eBay tips if you're looking for Bostonian shoes on eBay. So first thing you're going to want to do when you go to eBay is you're going to want to click here on the right on advanced search, okay? And then, so for example, here the keyword, and just this example, I can type Bostonian and I can type Shell Cordovan, C-O-R-D-O-V-A-N. Shell Cordovan is a very, I shouldn't say rare, but a very highly sought after material. It's made from horse's hide. New Alden or Allen Edmonds Shell Cordovan shoes go for around $700, okay? And then I'm going to redefine here. I don't want any one particular size. Now here's what I would do. Country of manufacture, that's important. I would pick the Bostonians, which you're looking for is made in the US, okay? I don't want any specific price range, so I'm going to delete that out of there. I was searching for something else before. And you're also going to want to see sold listings. You're going to want to see, for what I'm doing right now, I want to see sold listings, because I want to see what they've actually gone for. So now what that gives me is 2 results for Bostonian Shell Cordovan shoes made in the US. I don't really need to say made in the US because the Shell Cordovan takes care of that. So now I'm 5 results, okay? And see, what I'm telling you here is, so for example, this pair, Bostonian Crown Windsor. This pair actually sold for 150 bucks, size 10.5D. That's a very common size. The Bostonians, the Crown Windsor. So what you really had in the heyday of the shoes, you had Florsheim, Johnson & Murphy, and Bostonian were probably some of the biggest players. Then you had Hanover shoes. There were a lot of them, but they all referred to like the aristocracy, theme was their high-end shoes. So for example, Bostonian had the Crown Windsor, okay? And then you had, I think they also had Windsor, but Crown Windsor was their top of the line shoe. With Johnson and Murphy, they had Aristocraft and Crown Aristocraft. With Florsheim, you had the Imperial and Royal Imperial. Okay, so that designates their upper line shoe, and I think they dropped that moniker years ago. And so let's see, I'm going to zoom over on this. You got to be careful in buying Shell Cordovan shoes. Yep, that's Shell Cordovan. See, there's no wrinkles in it. See the way it forms rumples? That is definitely Shell Cordovan, and the color itself is correct for Shell Cordovan. These have been resold, so there's good and bad with that. Can you see they're super quality? So that's definitely aftermarket. It looks like a recent job. New leather soles and heels. So there's just one example. Let me show you some other examples of what I found on eBay on here. And here's a pair. This pair of shoes says Bostonian Classics Shell Cordovan Burgundy leather. Now here's where you got to be careful. This sold for $150, which is not bad for Shell Cordovan. Do you see those wrinkles? Somebody here got ripped off. This is definitely not Shell Cordovan, so you have to be careful on eBay. The eye stays, you see how it's completely flat there? That's not Shell Cordovan. That is calfskin leather. And also you'll see with the Bostonians, they have a different sole and heel on them. Can you see here? It does, let me click on it. On the sole, it does say made in USA. Again, that's something you're going to want to look for when you're looking at the Bostonian shoes, and the internet's obviously taken a while here. But it does say, made in USA, but that's the regular sole. See, doesn't have the leather rubber combo heel, okay? So that person got ripped off. That was way too much. Let's see what this is here. Classic Burgundy. Now see, this doesn't say Shell Cordovan. It says Burgundy Cordovan. Cordovan refers to a color of shoe. This Burgundy color, so that's okay. So Shell Cordovan is a material. Cordovan is a color like Burgundy. And this is not Shell Cordovan, neither does it say, so this is fine. But it's sold for 20 bucks. That's what I'm trying to show you here. The Bostonians really, other than the Shell Cordovan Bostonians and the Crown Windsors, really don't pull very much on eBay, okay? So I'm saying, is there a good shoe? See, there's the Goodyear Welted shoe with the made in USA, right? And these would look amazingly better. See the wrinkling there, typical calfskin? These would look so much better if the seller had just put shoe trees in them, okay? Bostonian Classics, Wingtip Brogue, Leather, Cordovan. See, Cordovan, it doesn't say Shell Cordovan, it says Cordovan. And you can see here when I zoom on the picture here, see those fine wrinkles? It's not the Shell Cordovan, but that's fine. And let's see the sole condition of these things. And see, they're Goodyear welted. They're not in bad shape at all, right? Look at that. Heels are in good shape. This looks like probably shoe made in the 80s or 90s, right? And this sold for 35 bucks. You know, not bad, right? See, these are going to be, do you see how much further inboard the spacing of the stitching there? So that's not Goodyear welted, that's Blake stitched. So it's a little cheaper method. But not a bad looking shoe there sold for 20 bucks, right? Here's another one sold for $11.92. And look at the sole condition there, right? And I think this is another one that's made in the USA. I think on all these searches I checked off, I only want to see the made in USA. These are a pair of long wing brogues, right? Nice, look at that, long wings. And look at that, right? Soles are in really good shape. Sold for 13 bucks, right? That's the actual selling price is what I'm showing you here. Now here we go. See what you're gonna see here. This is a pair of Crown Windsor, okay? So let me go back to the ad. Crown Windsor, Shell Cordovan, size 13. It's a pretty big size. That's not normal. Yeah, that's not very common on eBay. Do you see no fine wrinkles, the way it rumples? Again, just put, oh, they do have shoe trees, but the shoe trees that they put in them are too small. That's why they're not stretching them out, okay? This shoe looks good, but that one looks like the, shoe tree either is not big enough or doesn't have enough tension. And you see the way it forms those rumples, the way the waves form by the eye stays. The Shell Cordovan leather has higher tensile strength and it lays different. Sorry to jump around here. And there you see Crown Windsor, which you should see for Shell Cordovan model. And then let me also show you here. Genuine Shell Cordovan, and you see the dovetail leather rubber combo heel with the nails in it, okay? And it looks like it's at least 270, if not 360 degree Goodyear welted, right? So there you go. And those sold for 78 bucks for a Shell Cordovan shoe, okay? And here's another pair. Pretty nice looking pair of loafers. This actually looks like it sold for 15 bucks. These are size 15, holy mackerel, right? And they sold for 50 bucks. Let's look at the sole condition on these. Yeah, pretty good, right? And I got two more here that I pulled up. Another pair of loafers, size 9.5. First Flex, that's I think a 90s to 2000s term. Nobody cared about lightweight shoes until, more recently. So you can see the sole condition is good, not great. There's some wear on the tips of the toes, but the shoes themselves look like they're in pretty decent condition, right? Not bad. 40 bucks. So, and the last one here, a pair of black Oxfords and full brogue or wingtip. And look at the sole on those. Now this is interesting. This must be older. It says, what does that say? Hand lasted is I think what that says. That's really interesting to me. So hand lasted, these might be an older pair. Let's see if I can see something, what the interior of the shoe looks like. That looks like a little bit of an older logo. What I'm looking at here is the way it says Crown Windsor in that Bostonian, that text by Bostonian. Crown Windsor by Bostonian with that horse, that's older. So this may be like a 1980 shoe sold for 30 bucks. So like I said, Goodyear welted, made in USA, and Shell Cordovan. The older ones are what you're gonna want with Bostonian. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Okay, now I said there was some exciting news. So here's the exciting news. Well, I hope this may be exciting for you if you like Bostonians and would like to see a comeback, okay? I went to their website here. So this is the, clarksusa.com, CLARKS USA.com. And if you can see here, I'm going to Bostonian, click on that. And then when Bostonian comes up, I'm going to men's over here, and I'm going to click on dress shoes. Then 70 styles found. So then I think what I did was I clicked here on Bostonian. And then from there, I think it was like 29 styles, see all 29. And I'll show you, I pulled them up in order of cost. So first of all, here is a boot. Can you see this? So let me give it to you full screen. Manually, I guess, zoom in. That looks like stacked leather construction, and that looks like full grain leather, okay? So if I go back out of this, and I go to the details of this thing, you see here, it says, number 16 cap Bostonian boots, burgundy leather, handcrafted in New York. Wait a minute. Are you telling me this sucker is made in the USA? The number 16 cat boot is built on Bostonian's iconic existing last season. Look at this. Traditional Goodyear welted construction and crafted with luxurious American tanned leathers. Are you kidding me? Is this leather made in the USA? And tanned in the USA, and the shoe is made in the USA with Goodyear welting. Classic brogue detailing, lasts a lifetime. Soft leather linings, right? So let's take a look at the sole of this thing. Enlarge that. You can see there on the sole, it says, what does it actually say? It says Bostonian. I think it says made, no, it says made in the USA, and it says Goodyear welt right there, and you can see the stitching going all the way around. Now the Bostonians tend to have a little more of a bulbous shape to the toe. I don't think it is as aesthetically pleasing. I don't think it is, but for somebody with wide feet like me, that's actually a good thing, because what happens to me is when it's not just really the ball of the foot getting pinched when I have shoes that aren't wide enough, it's really that this part of the shoe cuts off my little toe. So that's actually a good thing for me from a style, not from a style, but from a fit standpoint. Now look at this. Look at this shoe. We've got a classic long wing, right? Do you see that? We've got a classic long wing brogue here, okay? And again, let's take a look at the underside. It says Bostonian, made in USA, Goodyear welt, and look at that beautiful logo, right, in gold on the inside. Not too shabby, huh? And look at this, leather rubber heel with nails in it, okay, the dovetail design there. And let me go back out and get in burgundy or black. And if I look at the description here, burgundy leather, handcrafted in New York, a lot of the same text here, using a traditional Goodyear welt construction, and crafted with luxurious American tanned leathers. I'd love to know where they're getting it from. Is that Horween? Handsome wingtip features timeless detailing, can be resold to last a lifetime. Soft leather linings, you know, right? So, let me look here also. I also found on here, look at this, okay? And let me get like a 3/4 shot here. So this is a derby, right? And I believe this would be called a plain toe blucher, okay? By the way, I believe a shoe becomes a blucher when you see here, the eye stays are just two small flaps sewn onto the shoe, then that derby more specifically becomes a blucher. So calling this a derby would be correct, but because there's nothing on the toe, this is generally referred to as a plain toe blucher. You see here, by the way, let me go back. This is a storm welt. You see the welt folds up. That design is to keep water out from inside of the shoe. And again, it says Bostonian, made in USA, Goodyear welt. Not too shabby. Let's keep going. Oh, so by the way, I'm sorry, I'm so excited, I forget. If you see the price, it's $430. That like is Allen Edmonds price territory, okay? Now you should never pay full retail. $475 for this one, okay? The boot, $500. Here is a, this looks like a hole cut, okay? You see here, we've got this, a hole cut Oxford, look at that. I don't know about this one. I think a long wing I'm more okay with, a little more bulbous toe shape, but I think this does not look elegant enough. But hey, you know, this one's only $225, okay, Bostonian. It says Goodyear welt, okay, I can't really read what that says there. But anyway, I'd love to see what it says. It does have, look at that heel construction, okay. And the Rhodes Oxford Bostonian, plain toes, black leather, dress Oxford, polished and clean as it gets. See here, features a rich full grain leather upper. I'd find it hard to believe the $225 shoe is full grain and the $400 and $430 ones are not. Genuine leather outsole and Goodyear welt. So what's my point? It looks like Bostonian, and this just came out here in October of 2018. It looks like Bostonian in a big way is upping their shoe game. I have not seen any advertising on this now. What I did is today I actually called, and here is, by the way, a nice brogue, a full brogue, or you could also call this a wingtip Oxford, right? Not too shabby there. And I think this one is the same $225 price point, right? And it looks like at this point width is not available. Like if I go to 12, like 11 after 12 is my size. It looks like it's not available in wide widths, but again, that shape is going to help compensate for that. My point is that they're back in the higher end shoe business, right? So that's interesting. Somerville. Now these don't say made in the US. So the 225 ones, now that I'm figuring out what they're doing, the ones at 225 do not say they're made in the USA. Okay, so I think for the $400 price level, you get something made in the US. At the 2-something price level, you get full grain leather still and Goodyear welted, but not in the USA. So that's kind of interesting. So if you're a Bostonian fan, I don't know. Are we going to see some, advertisements, them really pushing these things? So I did talk to Clark's representative today on the phone. I called the company. I wanted to know, hey, where near me can I go see these shoes? Touch them, feel them, and smell them. And they said nowhere in the Midwest U.S. does any stores have them yet. And they said the only place is at a Clark's store. I think they said on the East Coast is the only place you could actually go and touch them. So it's brand new, so this should be really, pretty interesting, and we'll see where this is going. And this, even if somebody, here's the biggest downside. To me, it would be hard knowing that Bostonian, especially in the last 10, 15 years, has made some pretty cheesy 40 to 50 to $60 shoes that fall apart fairly quickly. I think it's going to be pretty difficult for me to cough up. Let's say if they go on sale and you can get them for $350 for the same price point as an Allen Edmonds. That's going to be, I think, the biggest battle they have. Is saying, hey, oh wow, what kind of shoe you get? Oh, it's a Bostonian. But it's a good Bostonian. So they're going to have that to battle a little bit. But I don't know. I think this may make Allen Edmonds step up their game. I can't really say anything for sure about Allen Edmonds' quality, but I can say this. I've been listening to a lot of people that I personally know that have bought them, or people online that I've talked to that have purchased them. The quality in general, the comments I hear is definitely not an improvement over the past years. So I have heard grumbling about that. So maybe this is going to, make them kind of step their game up. Competition, I think, is always good for everybody in general. So pretty interesting. We'll see where this industry goes.